Good afternoon. I'm here today in the foyer of City Hall with Secretary of the Commonwealth, William Galvin, who's here to make a special presentation to the city on the anniversary, our 350th anniversary for the city. Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. It's great to be here in Marlborough on this special occasion. I know that this is going to be a very exciting weekend with the commemoration of the 300th anniversary of the founding of Marlborough as a town, and indeed the 120th anniversary year of the founding as a city. I've come to Marlborough many times in the past. I've always enjoyed the parade. I'm sure it's going to be extra special this year. But I think it's important that the citizens of Marlborough know the historic grounding for these celebrations. And I brought with me today and presented to you some copies of these documents which commemorate the actual legal events that brought Marlborough into existence. The first is an entry from the meeting of the Board of Governors at that time of Massachusetts Bay Colony, which at that time conducted its affairs much like a corporation. And at that point, they accepted a petition from the whip suffrage planters to be renamed, or to that portion of that land to be transferred to become the town of Marlborough. This document is in Old English, so it's very hard. We provided a translation. Now, I'm sure you're very happy about that because you would not want to be the mayor of whip suffrage, I'm sure. So this is when Marlborough was introduced first as the name of this particular locality. Subsequently, of course, Marlborough was subdivided in many ways. The bordering communities, some of which were carved out. There were some annexations from Framingham. There were many changes in the border of Marlborough through the years, mostly through the 18th century. And then, of course, it became a town. It existed as a town from 1660. And then in 1890, the legislature approved its special petition to become a city, the city of Marlborough. And that was approved in May of 1890 and then voted and ratified, accepted by the town on July the 14th, 1890. It's interesting because Marlborough is one of the older cities in the state, certainly the older cities in this portion of the state. So it's clear it reflects the fact that it was sort of a commercial and industrial hub at that time, which led to it becoming what it has become through the years. As I know, in recent years, of course, you've had a lot of growth in population, which is a good thing. It's an exciting place. It's a very interesting political place. I was saying to the mayor earlier that years ago when I practiced law, I frequently would come here to represent people who were running for office who had been in recounts, because you always had close contested election because people are very interested in Marlborough. So it's a city of great civic pride and great civic accomplishment, but it's nice to have these historical artifacts that reflect the fact that this city has its roots go back quite far. And indeed, as I said, in many instances it's given land to some of the surrounding towns. Berlin, Southborough, others have been carved out of it. So it has a great history, and I'm sure it has a great future. And it's nice to take the time in these times to look back and say, this is where we came from, this is what our civic history is, and to plan for the future. So I hope that the city will have a wonderful time during this celebration over the next few days, and know that it's firmly part of Massachusetts history. And as I like to remind everybody, especially the visitors who come to the State House from around the country, the history of Massachusetts is the history of America, and that is indeed our truth, the truth about our state. So it's my pleasure to present these to you. I know that you have a number of social events, but I'm sure even after the celebrations are over that you'll have the opportunity to put them in some place where school children and others who are looking for what the history of their city is will have a point of reference. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out and present these to the city. I think you're absolutely right. We're having a great celebration, but it takes us back to the history and the roots of our great city. And I'm so pleased to have these, and they'll have a prominent place in City Hall and at the events this weekend, so we can really take an opportunity to look back. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to come out to the city today. And thank you for being with us this afternoon.